Hi, this is Sarah, the Stitchin' Mommy, and it's Tuesday, June 1st, 2021, and I'm here to share my cross-stitching update for the past week, as well as a variety of plans and, discussion of my stitchy future here in the month of June. So let's get started. I have nothing to show really of as far as haul or stitchy kindness or stash acquisitions or whatever you'd like to call it. So we'll just jump right into our travel stitching. I think I worked on spring roundels for one more day. This is by Barbara Jackson. It was given to me as a full kit, and I started with the tulips. So I didn't get a ton more on this, but a little bit more. And so here is where I got to compared to last time. I think I don't know if I had these little ones done, and then I did some more pink down here. And I believe I'm color completing the flowers now at this point, now that I'm working from the top down. So this is on linen. I never actually checked. It might actually be something like 36. I need to check because it feels a tiny bit smaller than 32, but it could be 32. I'm not really sure. And then it's using silks that it came in the kit, and everything is actually a different stitch. Most of these are mosaic stitches. There's some petite stitches, eyelets, and Smyrna variation stitches. So no actual cross stitches, which is kind of fun. This one was my travel piece for a little while, and it's gonna go into the backup travel category at this point until I get a few other things knocked off, because I have too many things that I want to do for travel stitching, and my travel stitching is winding down. I have 2 more weeks when my younger kids are in school, and then it's going to be the summer. So my travel stitching will be sporadic. I mean, there could be times when we're traveling that I'll get more, and most of the time it will be less because we won't be going anywhere or doing anything. So I don't have my temperature typography to show you, because the last letter in May I could stitch today, and I haven't stitched yet. So that'll happen sometime this week, and then I can show you next week. And then the reason I only worked on spring roundels for 1 week, or 1 day, is because then the part 2, or 3 actually, of the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery 2021 Mystery Stitch Along came out on the 25th, and this is the Cozy Cafe Club, and part 3 was Earl Grey Tea. So there's a blue and white china teacup there with a little tea bag coming out. And the Earl Grey tea color blends in with their fabric. Blends in with mine too, but I think it's gonna be okay. I didn't bother changing it, because if theirs blends in, I'm okay with mine blending in. So I'm not done with it, but this is how far I've gotten. I think I usually, what do? I thought I was usually on the other side, but this is compared to last time. This is 25 count vintage cloth in the color Prim, and I'm doing mine 1/1. So, and I'm doing all the called for DMC for the actual cups and titles, but this header and border area I'm doing fancy floss just out of my stash to make it fun. They added a tiny chunk of border, which seemed unnecessary to me. I wish they would have given this whole strip last time. I just kind of assumed maybe this was a tall one that had a straw going into the border or something, and that's why they didn't give it to us last time, but it would have been nice. And then it would have been a little smoother right here, because then I have to park tie off my thread, and I had no way of knowing if it kept going or not. So that was a little unfortunate. If they do that again on this side, I'll try to park threads maybe, and then I can keep going, and it will be a little easier, but we'll see. So I have the whole top done that says Earl Grey Tea, and there's a spoon. I still need to stitch the tea in there, and then there's the rest of this lightest blue in here, and then a bunch of white. And I think there's some ecru for shadow on the white as well. So there's a few more colors. I'm hoping I can get that done in the next few days with my travel stitching, because then I can move on to flea market flowers as travel stitching. to try to get that trucking along. I did start that yesterday, so I guess I could share that now since it will go into travel stitching. I was hoping to have this be, my June plans kind of went all over the place. They started out one thing, then I started to reformulate, and now they're something else. So Flea Market Flowers by the Fat Quarter Shop, It's So Emma. I was under the impression that the stitch along started tomorrow on June 2nd. And then somebody, I think I saw an Instagram post by Kimberly over there at the Fat Quarter Shop saying she was starting hers this past Wednesday, the 25th or 26th or something. And so everybody, we're starting it now. I'm like, wait, what? And I think the idea was to post your progress of like your finished part 1 on the 2nd. And part 1 is this chunk right here, these top 2 chunks. Part 1, I think 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So there's 6 different parts, and if you stitch along with the Fat Quarter Shop. And posting your progress June 2nd, June, you know, all the way to July 7th, I think. It's so 6 weeks progress pictures on every Wednesday. So I figured, well, I better get that started if I'm going to be able to post something on the 2nd. So I started it yesterday on Memorial Day because, as I had said, I didn't have anything planned for the 31st because my Mirabilia May was kind of wrapping up on the 30th. So I went ahead and did this on Memorial Day. So here is my start of Flea Market Flowers. This is on the called for fabric, 25 count barley vintage cloth, and I'm doing mine 1/1, but everything else is as called for, as charted. I'm just going to do cross stitches and use the called for DMC. I actually looked into, I like started to play around with a fancy floss conversion, and there's like 6 pinks, and I pulled out some pinks that I thought might work as compared to the DMCs. But then I started playing with, well, okay, these 2 pinks are next to each other in this flower. Do they look well together? These 2 pinks are together in this flower. Do they look nice together? And there were some that looked good together and some that really didn't. So there's little motifs within the centers. There's alternating petal colors. There's a variety of combos of colors, and with the fancy floss I have in my stash, it was appearing to be too tricky to make it work in a way that would be pleasing. I think if you had access to more threads like in a store, you could maybe go through and find a nice palette that would work together, but I didn't. I figured they gave me the DMCs that are called for. They're beautiful together. They flow really nicely. I'll just stick with that. So what I ended up doing is I had some of these floss bitties that they had given me a while back. I'll pull one out here. They are hard plastic and really smooth. So I was like, how do I write on this to be able to figure out what number is what? And so I went online, and in their shop where you go to buy these, there's a little video where Kimberly shows what she has done and how you can use these. She used the DMC stickers that you can buy in the store, which I don't have any currently. I used some in my master set, but I don't have more. She also said if you're using fancy floss, you can attach cut out the little name on the card and attach it with some of their double-sided sticky tape, finishing tape, which I also have. So I went in my closet, found this, didn't know what I would use for this previously, but now I'm like, oh, I can use that for this. So I actually cut out the DMC labels and put them on the cards with the DMC. So instead of using a ring or a index card and pulling strings out of my master set, since they'd given me the floss pack, I just figured let's use all of their products and just make it fun. And it's portable at this point. At the end of the stitch along, I'll just take them off and wind them onto the bobbins in my master set or something. So that's what I ended up doing. And I got all of the border done for part 1 as well as the first color of pink. So I actually stitched a few of these petals this morning when I normally wouldn't stitch, just because I wanted to get that first color done to show you. But because this pattern has a lot of, they're either large chunks or combo patterns, I just figured it'd be easier just to do the stitching and not try to play with specialty stitches at this point. So I started that today. I may also work on that more today for my main stitching, just to kind of get a solid start on it, and then start my new rotation of focus pieces tomorrow. And that one will become a travel piece as soon as Cozy Cafe Club Part 3 is finished. I still don't have my Prim Stitch series number 12. I'm hoping it's late so I can get a bigger chunk done on these ones first. So that's kind of how all of that is going. Regarding Mill Hill Monday, if you have been an astute observer, you will see something behind me. My winged Monarch is something I had been working on every Monday. And then I would work on my quick stitch iris every other day as just kind of a bonus little amount of stitching before my travel, or before my focus piece for that day. So since I finished quick stitch iris last week, I decided to work on this every day and do a little bit on this every day to try to get it done in the month of May. And it worked. I chose like one color of bead or one section, mostly by color, but one time, like this flower, I chose one of the colors of beads. It didn't have a lot, but it also had a second color that used the same color of floss, 2 beads with the same floss, which was unusual. So I went ahead and did the whole flower that day, and then the rest of the pink on another day. So it worked out. And as you can see, I have it here with me, all finished. So I'll put up a before and after for you compared to last week. You can see all the beads. This I did everything as called for with the perforated paper that comes in the kit, and all the beads and DMC that come in the kit. There's a few beads that are larger, these white ones, the yellow ones, the inner pink ones here, and these outer pink ones, as well as the green, are all large regular size seed beads, and then the rest of them are petite beads. So there's black petite beads and these body ones, these purple here, the outer pink here, these orange and yellow, the centers of the flowers mostly are the petites. So, and then there's a button, because it's buttons and beads, so they usually have one button in there. So this is my first Mill Hill finish. Yay! And this is actually a Mill Hill frame that I received for my birthday or Christmas or something recently, and I was disappointed to find out that there is no way to secure this in the back. If you put the perforated paper, it has a cardboard, you put it in here, and there's no way, it just falls out. There's no way to secure it. So on the cover it says optional. You can get glacier points or something to put in there, available at your local hardware store, and it's like, that shouldn't be optional. You need to have some way to secure this. And so at this point, Captain Crunch to the rescue. I cut a piece of cardboard, and I'm just using the tension from the cardboard to hold it in. And for now, this works because I don't want to do anything super permanent, because I'm planning to change this out every month. At this point, I only have one finished, but I would like to have 12 that kind of go with the month and change them out once a month. So I want it to be easily changed out. So I don't want to get anything that's super permanent to hold that in there. So if anyone has a fantastic, like temporary, not a non, I guess semi-permanent solution that's better than a cardboard cereal box, but not as permanent or expensive as buying like a little tool to put little things in there. I know there are things like that. I don't really want to invest in something that expensive for one frame. And I don't really see myself using that in the future because I've been happy framing things using what's been given to me so far. So anyways, if anyone has any great ideas, let me know. But in the meantime, that's what's working. So I went through what I already have for my next buttons and beads kit, and I chose this one. It's called Hummingbird, so really a lot of description there. And it's another springy, summery one because I have a Halloweeny one and like 2 winter ones. I was more not really feeling those colors yet, especially since we're heading into summer. We're still in the warm, happy color months. So I went ahead and did this one. I have a few more on my wish list. So potentially later in the year for either birthday or Christmas, I could get a few more to choose from for my next one. I don't know how long it'll take me because this one took me quite a while, but I wasn't working on it regularly for a good amount of the time. So now this one will be done every Monday going forward. So we'll see how long it takes. It's using the same color perforated paper, so that'll be like a very similar experience. So I'll have to get that. I'll have to get the color sorted and everything of the thread before next Monday. Or maybe next Monday. Sometimes I just wait and do it right then. Sometimes I have more forethought and do things a little bit ahead of time, but not always. So let's see, let's go ahead and talk about what else I worked on. So I had one more day on Summer Queen this past week on Monday. Here is Summer Queen by Mirabilia. And she is the Mirabilia that is has the least amount of progress. I think she's this one. So it was nice to get a little bit farther along on her. She's done on Oyster, 32 count Oyster linen by MCG Textiles. Last time I had already done a couple days on this and had started in on her skin, and I really had hoped to get like her whole face done, but I was realizing as Monday wore on that wasn't going to happen. I didn't have a whole lot of stitching time, so I did one length of thread in the lighter color of her face and decided to just go ahead and backstitch her eye and eyebrow and at least get that much done. So you know what I'm working on next time I bring this out. Rest of her face. So there she is. It's kind of hard to show her because she has so much fabric on this side. The way I think she's she's leaning back. So her head is a little bit off-centered. But I want to be able to see it. There we go. Maybe that's a little better. So anyways, I guess I'm happy enough with that, but I do want to get more done on her. I don't know when any of these are specifically coming out next, but it's possible she might come out again this summer sometime because she's Summer Queen. And then I moved on to Villa Mirabilia, which is this one. Large design. And I wanted to focus up here on the pot to try to get as much done up there as I could. This pot seems to kill my stitchy bug every time I pull it out to work on it, so I really just wanted it done. It's not necessarily the pot, it's the greenery. For some reason, whenever I started to focus on working this greenery, it just drags and I don't want to pull it out. It's boring to me for some reason. Just the nature of large blocks of color, and at the same time you have to focus to count on the edges because it's like scattering the color along the edges of each color. So it's just a weird mix of boring and complicated. It was just like, I don't want to work on that. So I am happy to report I finished all of this green. There is a tiny bit of green right here that is not done yet because I'll do that after I finish all of the actual pot stitching. I got all of this big chunk of green done and one length of thread in the pot. So the pot I think will be fun because that's like you're making something in a shape. I don't know. So I think it'll be more enjoyable. So thankfully this made some good progress because last year or two ago, I think I had a goal to finish. I don't know, at some point I really wanted to get this done, this whole project. And I went up, did the border, on the top and started in on that pot, and then everything just came screeching to a halt, and I never really moved forward. So thankfully this part is done. I will do back here first, because this is really big. It's a fat half of likely willow green 32 count linen, and here is before and after of this pot area with the all that greenery. So there was a big swath in here that was the lighter shades. The first thing I worked on actually was all of these berries, which is unique. You don't really see that too much in the picture because it's so far away, but there's 3 different colors of pink berries in here. And so I had at least 2 colors that I hadn't done yet, maybe 2.5. So I worked on berries at first, and a little bit of purple I hadn't quite yet done either. So that was a really nice way to start and just start sinking my teeth into this project. Then I went ahead and worked on the green and got this filled in. All done. So I also did one length of this pot, which is actually the same color as the border. So there'll be 2 or 3 shades of tan kind of outlining the shadows of this pot. And then a lot of it is white space. So it's, you'll see a lot of the fabric through there. And then there are some beads dangling and draping that will be added later. I figured I'd do the pot first before I did the beading. So yay. I kind of wish I had done more and gotten to more on the pot, but again, most of the time I was just not really wanting to work on it because it was in that green, and had to force myself to do it. Finally got it done, so at least it's done. And then moving forward, I can try to enjoy this piece a little bit more because I do love it and I want to get to the dress. So let's get this pot finished, shall we? So my last Mirabilia was Winter Queen, and so I worked on this the last 3 days, so ending on the 30th. And this one I had finished her head completely, so then I started working more in her hands and shoulder area. And this one I kind of wish I had had more time too, because I just wanted to do more, see more, but there really wasn't that much time left. So this is on white 32 count linen by MCG Textiles, and here is where I got to. As you can probably see, I stitched more white and gray. I had one length of whisper right here. There's some more whisper in here, but I didn't get to that. I kind of hoped I had. Then I added some blanc and some light gray and even some medium gray. And then I added one length of this really dark brown, which seems out of place, but there are some dark brown spots in here too. There will be a lot more of this purple and green embellishing her shoulders. So that's going to be part of the embellishment. So it'll look more natural later, but I wanted to get that done because I wanted to do the back stitching of her hands and shoulders. And there are actually still a few decorative stitches along the edges of her shoulders that need to be stitched, but I went ahead and did the back stitching anyways, just because I wanted something to look more complete. So her skin is now back stitched. She has some rings here, and there's a lot of beads and more colors in this area, but I did what I could. So that's where she's at now. And she will probably, hopefully come back out again more in the winter time. I always say that, and then I kind of run out of time to work on seasonal pieces, but I have too many projects and I want to start more. I'm hopeless. So let's see. All right, so after my Mirabilia stitching was wrapped up for the month of May, which was a lot of fun. I enjoyed working on those. It had been a long time since I worked on those. They are their own kind of project. You know, they're big and a little intimidating just because of their size. The stitching itself is not that difficult. They're just really big. So it was nice to pull them out again and have a reason to work on them. And I'm hoping that they will come out more regularly here and there throughout the rest of my plans. So then on the 31st, I started Flea Market Flowers, which I already shared with you. So then going forward, I had a lot of debate with myself over planning, and how I wanted to, I've been feeling like I want to have a more regular rotation, I guess, rather than just opening my month up and kind of eeny, meeny, miny, mo, just picking stuff and throwing it on there. The months that Full Coverage Fanatics, the Facebook group, the months that they have a month-long event, for example, coming up in July, they're having a month-long Olympics themed challenge, and I don't know what that's going to look like yet. Sometimes their month-long events have specific days with specific themes, and I really enjoy those challenges. Even though that involves switching projects every day sometimes, it can be a fun change of pace. So I'm thinking the months, at the very least, the months that I'm not doing a Full Coverage Fanatics month-long event, I'm going to try to do a new rotation. And so I decided to do, split my projects up into 3 categories: small, medium, and large. And if you've been watching me for any number of time, you know that most of my projects would fall into the average stitcher's large or enormous category. So what I just did is I just evenly divided my projects into the smallest third of my projects falls into the small category, the middle third is medium, and the largest third is large. So when I show something that's in the small category and you look at that and you are in awe because to you that is a large, you're probably right. It's just that I have so many quote-unquote large projects that in order to evenly distribute my projects by size, they get clumped kind of funny sometimes. So anyways, I did some playing on the computer and put some spreadsheets together with all of my smalls, mediums, and larges on different pages so I can see them all at a glance for when I'm picking things. I may at some point do some wheel spins at some point, but sometimes I just maybe want to look through and see what am I feeling like working on this month, whether that be a seasonal piece or just the colors remind me of something, or oh, I haven't worked on that in a while. You know, it'd be nice to see them all at a glance. So here's my list of smalls. It starts out with my advent animals as the dimensions of one of them would be a small one. Spring roundels, and it goes all the way through till the heirloom stitching sampler, which is very large for the most part. But when divided up into thirds, it's still made the cut for the smallest. I have 1 full coverage here in the small category, that's Visit Endor, and no Mirabilias, but both of my Joan Elliots are on here. So here's one Joan Elliott, and here's the other Joan Elliott, and I have some Nora Corbett's on here, and 1 Lavender and Lace made it into the small as well. So let's see, and I already switched out this to be my hummingbird instead of my Mill Hill Monarch, winged Monarch. This is a frosted pumpkin stitchery pattern that I am planning to start later in the month for my daughter. So that I threw in there. There were a few things that I threw in that I knew I would be starting in the near future. So I just went ahead and added them so I wouldn't have to change my papers because they're on the short list of things to start. So my medium page looks like this. And this one starts out with His Name is Jesus, which I'm stitching with Desiree, the Addicted Stitcher, and I have all my seasonal crosses, and these are in order of size, by the way, not alphabetical. So I have, another Lavender and Lace. This Simpsons piece is on here, which is my husband's piece. I'll be working on that this week, actually. I have my Knitting Woman is my mom's piece, so there's 2 family pieces that are here on the, yes, Dragon Ride ended up in the small category. So that's kind of interesting since that one is pretty big. But 2 of my family pieces are in the medium category. And here you start to see some more full coverage. There's a few more. You start to see Mirabilias. It looks like Adia is my smallest Mirabilia, which shows something for maybe getting done sooner. And then I also have Winter Queen, then Stargazer, Summer Queen, and Ashley's and Roses of Provence. So there's a few, here's another lavender lace. So there's a few other things in there. And then my large category starts with Lady of the Flag and also has Garden Prelude. So it has some more Miras on there and Lady of the Mist. Looks like, oh, and then Villa Mirabilia, which was my largest Mirabilia. I have a lot more full coverage, so you see a lot of these. This Butterfly Rose Cross, I'm planning to start here in the month of June. I'll get to that later. Elegant Lady, I'm planning to start in June. And Hibiscus Fairy, I'm planning to start for my birthday in September. Cross Stitch Fun, I'm planning to start this Friday. So that's like a sampler, but it's like the biggest non-full coverage piece. I do have things like this, like TM Books, that I'm not stitching the background. So it's up here with, looks like full coverage, but the way I'm stitching it is, it's not actually full coverage. Let's see. So anyways, that was some fun that I was playing around with earlier, and I decided to do a rotation that has Monday and Tuesday I'll work on a small, Wednesday and Thursday I'll work on a medium, and then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday I could work on a large. And that would kind of give me a few more days on the bigger pieces to make sure they get a little bit more attention. And we'll see how that goes. I'm thinking in arbitrary August coming up. Since I started that, I kind of feel like I should keep doing it. And sometimes at the beginning of the year, I was thinking, no, I don't want to do it this year. But I always feel like at this point in the year, I'm starting to feel sad about some of the projects that have been neglected so far in the year, so that I haven't managed to work on yet. So what I'm thinking, I think I did this last year too, is making a wheel of the projects that I have not yet worked on, and doing this rotation of a 2-day project, 2-day project, 3-day project, with spinning a wheel with the projects in each category that have not yet been worked on in this calendar year. So that's kind of what I'm thinking of for August. So, all right, so my husband had been walking around and I'm about to talk about his project, so I had to make sure he was back in his room with the door closed. So going forward, what I'm planning to work on for my first medium project of the month of June is my Simpsons piece for my husband. At one point, I had thought about giving my family pieces an entire week in their birth month. I don't know, I still like that idea, but it really limits what else I can work on throughout the month, because that takes up a lot of time, a lot of space, real estate in my calendar. So I kind of decided I'll just give them a 2 or 3 day, I guess only 2, a 2-day rotation, because they're either small or medium, all of the different family pieces. Give them a 2-day rotation, and then maybe when it's not their month, I can maybe squish 2 together into, still do 1 day each. And then, for example, if I have 2 smalls, I can do them in a small rotation, just have 2 projects instead of 1, just so that I can free up some room for some of my other pieces, because I have so many projects that I really love and really want to work on, and I feel like a lot of them are not getting touched. So it's kind of my thought. I hope that made sense. You'll hopefully get the idea as we roll along here, because I'm going to try to work on things that way in the month of June. So let's see. So here, starting tomorrow, I'll be working on this Simpsons piece, which is a pattern I found off of eBay a long time ago. I can't find it there anymore. I actually had to rechart it in my software because the pattern, it was a physical pattern mailed to me and the ink was like rubbing off. Not something you want to have near your stitching. So I actually recharted it and I'm using it in Pattern Keeper now. So it's making it really nice. It's going a lot faster. I also restarted this at some point from 32 1/1 half stitches to 40 count 1/1 half stitches. So this is white vertical even weave 1/1 half stitch, and I'm really enjoying the progress on this. And if I have 2 days, I'll at least get that much more than I usually do. So this is my starting point. I'll give this 2 days, and I actually decided the last time I worked on this, I'm going to do the top-down method that I am doing on some of my other pieces. And so last time I picked some colors that were around the edge of her hair, and I just did them wherever they finished. Ended up outlining Maggie because of that, and some of these other stitches around here. So I'm going to keep doing that and see how that goes. This was originally full coverage, but there's all around the outside was just solid white. That's not happening. And then inside this circle is solid white, and that's not happening. So I'm stitching the outside of the paper that they're punching through, but I'm not stitching any of the other areas. So the only solid white will be like his shirt, I think, is solid white. So that's where it's at now. So we'll see how much I can do in 2 days. And I may actually continue to pull out flea market flowers if there's a moment where he's in the room with me and I should be stitching on something and I can't because he's around. Is this still a secret? I might pull out flea market flowers as like a backup emergency piece and only work on this when he's not in the room. So that's kind of my idea. And then on Friday, I get to start Cross Stitch Fun by Kesslins. This apparently came out at the Needlework Expo this year. I never follow the expo or the market or any of that because generally speaking, a lot of the popular cross stitch style is not my style. So I just kind of wait and see if anything shows up that appeals to me, and usually it doesn't, so I'm okay. This time I saw Colette the Highway Stitcher and Shelly Key X Stitch both got this, and we're gonna work on it. And I got to looking at it and I thought, you know, I can get down with that. It at a glance looks like a old-fashioned sampler or a monochromatic thing like a long dog or something, but when you get closer, it's got cute little motifs that are non-traditional all throughout there, and it just seemed so much fun. So I decided, you know what, I'm gonna do it. It is enormous, so 1/1 on 28 count. It will take up most of a fat quarter, but I think it'll be fun. It's in there on my large project category, halfway through my large project list, but it's not full coverage, so it shouldn't take as long as my enormous full coverage pieces, which means there's hope that it might actually get finished in my lifetime. So this week I went ahead and prepped a bunch of fabrics for a variety of starts that I am planning to have in the month of June. So I prepped my flea market flowers, which you already saw. And when I say prep, I mean I cut it down to size, serge the edges, and iron it, and then roll it up. So it's ready to go with the way I like to stitch it. So I also did that with the green fabric I have. I serged it. I just went ahead and left it the whole fat quarter because it'll have like maybe an extra 6 or 7 inches on the bottom, and maybe 3 to 5 inches on the side that's extra beyond the margin I normally would need, but it just seemed like it wasn't quite enough to warrant cutting it down. So I just figured I'll just start with like a 2 or 3 inch top margin and stitch it. And if I want to, when I'm all done, I can cut off something from the bottom and use it then. But for now, I just figured it was easier just to serge the whole piece and get it ready. So this is ready to go. And I'm planning to use it. This is Star Sapphire Jobelin, 28 count. And I'm planning to stitch it with Coral Coastal Seaweed by Victorian Motto. It's like a light green with a more of a greeny gray color floss, which will be a monochrome look for the whole thing. So that's kind of what I'm planning to do, and I'm very excited about that. So that's something I'll start on Friday, and that will be my large project for this week. And I'll do that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I'll get a start on a online chat with Colette and Shelly, but then I'll keep working on it on Saturday and Sunday. So let's see. So that'll be fun. So those are my main projects. I'm treating my flea market flowers as a small, so that's because I'll work on it yesterday and today for Monday and Tuesday. And then Simpsons is my medium and Cross Stitch Fun is my large. So that's kind of the start of my new plan. Going forward now into starting in June for the rest of the month, I am still participating in the Full Coverage Fanatics Challenge 21,000 stitches in 2021. And I finished Quick Stitch Iris, which is what I had been doing for that challenge. Doing on average 65 stitches a day, or at least 65 stitches a day. Sometimes I'd get more, and then it just helps me finish sooner or gives me a little wiggle room if there's some days I can't work on it. So going forward, I will be working on Waterfall in Yosemite for the rest of the year as my bonus 65 stitches a day piece. Mainly because I want to finish the sky. I am up here in the sky, and I've been up here in the sky for a very long time. This is another one that's not quite as bad, but similar to the pot in Villa Mirabilia, where it's kind of boring. I love the effect. The colors in it are mostly pretty, especially the blues chunks. They're really pretty, but it's just a lot of not much happening. And there is a good amount of white in there too. So I'm eager to be done with the sky so I can move on to the rest of the project. And another reason I chose this piece is because it's 18 count 2/1 full crosses, and the challenge in Full Coverage Fanatics, you would need to double your stitches with a half stitch. And a lot of my projects are half stitches, my full coverage projects. So I wanted to pick something that was using a full cross, because then I can just, one stitch equals one stitch. I don't have to do any extra work to meet the criteria. So it's a full cross project. I really hope that doing a few stitches a day will help me chip away at this sky and just get it done once and for all. So without having to labor over it for days on end, if I were to plug it in as, you know, focus stitching. So here is my starting point on Waterfall in Yosemite. So this is 18 count, probably antique white Ada. It is, like I said, 2/1 full crosses. I made it to the other side over here, but I still have this much more to do in the first page, or first row, I guess. So I am now doing my top to bottom, left to right, choice of thread colors. And so there are times, however, since I'm up here in the sky, if I pick, for example, like this light blue, if I pick this one, I just may keep it out and do a couple strings of it because there's so much of it, rather than pulling it out and or putting the color away and getting another color out. Also, because a lot of these sky colors are blends, so I'll have this cooler blue by itself. I'll have this cooler blue blended with this lighter blue. I'll have the cooler blue blended with white. I'll have white blended with the lighter blue. I'll have Blanc blended with 3685 or whatever the other like soft white is. There's like a blend of those, plus all the solids of everything. So it's like, it makes for a really pretty effect, but sometimes I just want to keep going with the colors that I have out. So I'm not being super picky with my top down, left to right symbol choice on this one. I'll just kind of work on it however it feels at the moment, and we'll see how it goes with starting today, I guess. 65 stitches before I work on my regular piece for the day. That's exciting. So next year, I think I'll work on a different full cross piece. My grapes piece is what I'm planning to work on next year, for if there's a similar challenge like that. This one, because I think it's possible this one could see a finish or close to a finish if there's a similar challenge. So that would be fun. And it's another 18 count full cross piece. So I think that's all my stitching plans for this week, but I had another couple fabric preps that I had made for the rest of the year, or the rest of the month, I mean. So for my large projects, the last 2 large rotations in June, I want to start a couple new things. And yes, they're larges because I'm a glutton for punishment. There are things that I have been wanting to start, and I just figured, why wait? I kind of get, when I get a plan that gels in my head and I have this project, this fabric, this thread, or whatever, I've figured out everything that needs to happen to make a project work, I feel like starting it. I want to just get it done and finish the process. And so, not done, but started and finish the process. So hence all of the things that I have started that are not finished, because I think that part of the process is more fun for me than the finishing part. I do like to pull things out again and keep working on them, but there's a soft spot in my heart for starting things. So this is one that I knew I wanted to, as soon as I found out I had the fabric for it, and I knew I needed to start it. So this one is Mini Elegant Lady with a Bouquet by Emil Vernon. And I have another project by Emil Vernon that's from Golden Kite. Actually two. This is actually Heaven and Earth Designs. The Flower Garden is by him. And then I have a Golden Kite. The Three Sisters is also by him. So I think I like his style. So this is the mini. And so when I was kitting up Flea Market flowers with the barley vintage cloth, 25 count, I had exactly enough left over on the piece of fabric I had to stitch this one. And I knew I wanted a new 25 count 1/1 full cross project since I finished Quick Stitch Iris, because I really like that style, but I don't want to start a full cross piece that's really big. So because this one is a mini, I felt it was perfect for doing another full cross piece. So I got this one prepped, so it's serged and ironed and rolled up, ready to start. Elegant Lady with a Bouquet. I always forget how that's got such a long name. So I got that one started or kitted and ready to go. And then I also got to thinking, I wonder about that fabric that I got from Hand Dyeing Duo, the daughters of Georgia Stitcher here on Flosstube. They have an Instagram page now called Hand Dyeing Duo, and they have been dyeing cross-stitch fabric for us to buy. And I bought a piece of fabric from their first release a few weeks back, and I thought, would this mini butterfly rose cross fit on that fabric? And sure enough, it does. Very well, actually. And so it's, I had been torn whether or not I wanted to stitch the background, because I do like the look of this background. It would be different. Then they do offer a no background version, and I went ahead and bought the one with the background because I kind of like this background. But the other part of me is like, why do I want to stitch more background? And so I will be taking this background out in Pattern Keeper manually, because I'm too cheap to buy another one. And then I'll be using this, and it is a tealy color. It's not the cool blue that is used in the pattern, but I think it will still look really pretty to have the cross and the butterflies and the roses on this teal hand-dyed 28 count fabric over one. So I'm excited for that. So I got this one serged as well and ironed and rolled up and ready to go. So this will be my final large project in the month. My large project next weekend will be Princess de Broglie for Full Coverage Fanatics. They have a weekend challenge to work on your oldest full coverage project, which I believe is this one. I don't know 100%, but I'm pretty sure. I know it's my oldest Golden Kite. My oldest Heaven and Earth Designs was Quick Stitch Iris, which is now done. So this is what I'm saying is my oldest full coverage. So I'll work on this the following weekend. So I have all my large projects for June like already mapped out. And then I also have been, once I decided I wanted to do this, I decided, well, let's just get that started too. So my last small project of the month of June, I'm going to be starting the Leaning Tower of Macarons by the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. And these little cookies, I ended up buying this pattern with a code that I had when our Cozy Cafe Club was delayed. They gave everybody a code as kind of a coupon code to say thank you or sorry that everything was delayed a little bit. So I ended up buying this with that code for my daughter because she loves Baby Yoda from The Mandalorian, and in one of the episodes he's eating these like blue macaron cookies. So ever since then she loves these cookies, and I've made them a couple times myself. The last time I made them I dyed them light blue just to be like the ones in the show. So I thought she would like this, and what I had thought to do is to stitch it on maybe some glitter fabric that I had bought, but I do want to make it a bookmark. So I have some perforated paper that was accidentally sent to me when I had a mix-up in one of my orders recently. They had 3 packages of white and this package of brown, and so this is on a darker linen, so I went ahead, pulled out the brown. Sorry, there's glaring. You can see me right there. So this is brown 14 count perforated paper. So it'll be a little larger, but I think having it on the paper will make it more bookmarky than if I were to make it like 1/1 on some fabric and just cut it slim. It'd be very floppy. I'm gonna do that. I haven't cut this down to size. I'll probably cut it slightly larger than I need, like a little farther out from the dish and a few stitches up margin just in case I count wrong. And then when I'm done, I might cut around the edge rather than make it straight. I haven't decided yet. This dish is really wide for making it a bookmark, so I might even adjust the dish to make it line up even straighter. Like this side might be okay, but this side is a little bit farther off, so we'll see. Anyways, that's going to be a start in the month of June also. So I finished 2 significant projects in the month of May. This butterfly and my quick stitch iris, and now I'm starting 4. So I don't think the math really works. Actually 5, because Flea Market Flowers was started too. Maybe that was the 4th one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5. So, and then I have a plan to start something for my birthday in September. And other than that, I don't have any solid plans for other new starts, but no guarantees. Anything's possible around here. So I think that is everything I have to show you. So with that, I will leave you to your stitching and other activities for the day. And I hope you have a wonderful time with whatever you're doing in the month of June. And happy stitching. Bye.